Hey, this is Corey from Woodcraft, and it's kind of windy out, but today's the day where I got to get this done. It's been raining non-stop, and it looks like there's a lot more rain in future days. And so I want to show you this camp cook set. Now this is a very budget-friendly option. It's a cook set for the out of doors. And now what's on this packaging is not what's in here. They sent me this product to review for them. I'm really excited about what's inside, but the packaging, they just must have one box, and then depending on what you order, they put in what you order inside. So that's kind of different, but on the inside's all that matters, right? And so in this cook kit, you get two pans, or pots rather, and they come in this single walled mesh bag. And so that's something. It's not it's durable, but it's not that single walled like you would get on some of the more expensive pots and pans that protects the soot and everything from getting onto your other stuff. This is just a single wall. Opening this up, it's a tight fit, which is good because it keeps everything from rattling around and everything. And so here's your first pan. So it's like a little saucepan, and the handles come out. Now this is from Nullapam. I don't know how to pronounce it, but you get a nice little saucepan here. There's no measurement markings on this pan though, which is kind of a bummer, but it is a nice little pan. The pans are anodized aluminum, and so if aluminum bothers you, you're not going to want this kit, but anodized aluminum is, I've been using it a lot and I don't see any drawbacks to it. Here's all the goodies. And now this pan is much larger, and it does have markings on it, and it goes all the way from 8 ounces. So it goes from 8 ounces to 32 ounces, which is awesome. I like that 8 ounce mark. A lot of pans don't have that 8 ounce. They either have 12 or 16, and then you have to guess how much 8 is. And so I like that marking's there. I like it's got 200 milliliters all the way to 1,000 milliliters. And so this is a really big, nice pot right here. I like that a lot. Okay, so now all the goodies does come in a double walled thick mesh bag. And so this is going to protect from soot and other things from getting onto the inside of your pans. And so that's very nice. I like this bag a lot actually. And then inside here we have some bowls that look more like cups to me. They look like some cups to drink out of more than bowls, but they can be used for either cups or bowls. And they're not that bad. They are plastic, but they're very sturdy. It's very thick plastic. So these aren't too bad. This ladle I'm not a fan of. I just broke it. It's cheap. It's very thin. It doesn't... I'm not a fan of this at all. And like I said, I just broke it trying to put it together. It's not the most durable thing, but I've never needed a ladle out camping. So that's garbage now. You get this little wood spatula. It's a wood spatula. It'll work really well. I like the shape of it. I think they shaped it to these bowls because the curvature here fits perfect on these bowls. Both of them. And so I like that a lot. Just make sure that you don't put that away wet. Because it is wood, it'll mildew and mold if you put it away wet, and so make sure that you dry it out really good before you use it. Here, these actually surprised me. So inside here you have silverware, and it comes in this nice little pouch to protect it and also to contain the mess if you don't have time to wash. So here we have a fork, and it just folds open. And now these, I kind of thought they were gimmicky when I saw the picture, but they're actually really good. There's a little slide lock, and yeah, they're pretty robust. They're actually really good. I might actually use these in a trip coming up. So yeah, you got a fork, and then you got a spoon. And again, these feel like stainless. I don't think these are aluminum. I think that they're stainless because they're very thick and robust. I like these a lot, actually. And now this was a surprise. I thought this was a butter knife, and I almost cut myself when I first opened this. This thing is razor sharp. This thing is super sharp. I don't think it's going to hold an edge very well. I don't think that it's made to hold an edge, but it's got a very, very sharp edge. This isn't a butter knife. This is for cutting your food. It's definitely not a butter knife. It'll probably turn into a butter knife after using it a little bit, because like I said, I don't think it's going to hold an edge. But just be careful when you open it, because that is sharp. And so you have the silverware. I'll put that back in here so that doesn't get dirty, that I don't cut myself. So far, the silverware and this little spatula and the Tupperware is good. For what you're getting, for the price you're paying, it's pretty decent. You also get a little sponge, which I don't know, that's probably garbage. And then you get a carabiner so that you can attach it to the outside of your pack, so that if it does get dirty, you can attach to the outside of your pack, and then you're not going to mess up any of your other gear, like your sleeping bag and stuff. And it is a locking carabiner, so you don't have to worry about it falling off or losing it. It's not the best carabiner in the world, but it definitely will work. So that's comes with it as well. And then the part that I'm most excited about is again, you get a really nice thick bag here. And then here you get a wood burning stove. And this is super easy to use. You just grab the second biggest pot out of here, flip this over, and you got a wood burning stove. And the reason I like this one is because it has such a large opening right here. You can feed a lot of sticks in here. You can put your pot on top and just feed your sticks, just constantly feed. That way you're not packing this thing full and then just letting it burn. You're just using what you need to get a boil. So that's really cool. You got your little stand here, so if your pan is smaller than this hole, you can still set it on here. So yeah, you got your large pan, and then you got your small pan. So the weight of the handles is actually preventing the small pan from being set on there, and so this is the pan I'm going to use. Like I said, there's no measurement markings on here, and so I'm going to have to use this pan, and I'm just going to put 8 ounces in here, and then I'm going to see how well this will come to a boil. So let's put 8 ounces in here. Seems like a lot more than 8 ounces, but we will see. Okay, now I'm going to put it in this pan, see if the liquid will counterbalance. This pan doesn't hold any more than 8 ounces, so keep that in mind too. This is an 8 ounce pan. Okay, so I'm going to put the hole towards me a little bit. And so now the water does counterbalance it, so it's actually doing really well. We'll see what happens as it's boiling, if this falls or not, but I think it'll be okay. Alright. So I got a bunch of sticks here. So I'm just going to put in some sticks. Now because the hole is way down here and the base is up here, you can put longer sticks and it's not going to interfere with your pot. So I can put some of this longer stuff through the top here and it's still not going to interfere with the pot, and then as I'm cooking I can feed through the side, which is really awesome. Alright. This is probably good enough to get started. I'm going to use some birch bark. Put a little cattail in there. Mosquitoes are thick. Alright, I'm just going to use a lighter to get this started. Even with the wind, this thing contains it all really well. So I like that a lot. Just went out. It might be too windy. But when you're out camping and you got to rely on this thing, you got to make sure that it can perform even in the wind. It holds it really well. I'm not 100% level, but it's doing a good job at keeping everything held in place. That's just the birch bark burning right now. We're going to see if that's enough to catch everything else. Like I said, this wind isn't helping it any, but try to keep the handles out of the fire. Handles are still nice and cool to the touch. Once you get it going, it does very, very well. We're already starting to get some bubbles accumulating on the bottom of the pan. It's really hot. It's a hot fire. This will keep you nice and toasty warm on a hot night too. Even if you're not cooking, just this tiny little fire, this contained heat really can warm you up quick. Especially if you wrap around a wool blanket or something. This thing would really perform really well in winter. Wow, it's a nice little stove. I like it a lot. The handles are still cool. It's nice just having a contained little fire, even here in the backyard, you know. Just enjoying the heat of the fire at night or doing something in your backyard, just having a contained little spot. And it doesn't take a lot of resources to do this either. I have lots of little twigs here, and it took very little to get this thing going. It's taking very little to keep it going. Not a lot of resources. I'm not out collecting a lot of firewood. I'm not out collecting a lot of processing down large logs. I got what I got. I don't need any more than just enough to get this thing boiling. It's pretty close actually. I like this nice big opening too. You're able to put a pretty decent amount of stuff in there at a time, and you're able to use pretty big diameter stuff to put in there to keep fueling this fire. A lot of stoves don't have an opening, so you're constantly taking the top off, putting sticks in, putting the pot back on. Where this, I can just keep it on there, let it keep cooking. Now this isn't a wood gas stove. This is just a wood burning stove. It does have features of a wood gas stove, but it's not really intended to be used as one, because everything is way down here for the wood gas part, and so it's intended to be used as a wood stove. The wood gas part of it just kind of keeps it efficient and keeps the resources you're using to a minimum. We're so close to a boil. The bubbles are starting to pop up. Here, let me guys show you this boil. Alright, we're at a really good boil right now. So I'm going to test the handles. Handles are still cool to the touch. Take this off. Perfect. So I'm able to hold on to this, not a problem. Set that down. We still have a lot of our sticks left. It didn't take a lot to get this thing going. It didn't take much at all to keep it going. I just slowly fed sticks into it. Caroline mentioned that this would make a really good marshmallow stove. And so yeah, we're just going to let that, it's down to embers now, but we're just going to let it die off because our water's boiling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump all this out, I'm going to clean this up, and then I'm going to show you how it performed and how everything held up through that initial burn. So I'll get back to you in a little bit. Alright, so I'm waiting for the stove to cool off, but while I do that, I got a rag here. Just going to pour some water on it. These are just junk dollar store rags. I like to buy these to do stuff like this. I don't like using our good kitchen towels or our good bathroom rags. I just go to the dollar store and pick up rags because they get sooty. But I showed you what it looked like when it was full of soot. Now I'm just going to wipe it off. And show you what it looks like cleaned up. You don't have to do much with your dishes unless you actually cook inside of them. If you cook inside of them, then you're going to need to clean them a little bit better. But when I just boil water, I just wipe them off with a wet rag. So now you can see this is much better. So we'll take the dry side and dry it up a little. Doesn't look like it did when it was brand new, but still really good. It's not bad at all. It's not leaving any soot on me, so it shouldn't leave any soot on my equipment. This is still really hot, so we're just going to let that cool down, but I just wanted to show you the difference between how black this thing was when I first got it off and just wiping it off with a little bit of water cleaned all that right up. So I'll get back to you once this cools off, and then I'll do the same with this. Alright, so now it's cooled off. This thing takes a long time to cool down. The aluminum pots and pans don't take long because they're aluminum, but the stove itself is stainless steel. It's a very thin stainless steel. So when it comes to this bottom portion here, this thing is pretty much clean. There really isn't anything in here. Yeah, this still looks close to new. This is where it gets interesting here. So you can see the heat of the fire has completely changed this, but it's still pretty clean on the outside, even on the inside. So this was inside there like that. So this is the bottom of the fire, and this part is pretty clean. It burned very efficiently. This top part here though, the outside again is pretty clean, but the inside is just full of ash and soot. So again, you're going to want a bandana or a rag with you so that you can just wipe this out. And yeah, it looks good. It's a little colored from the heat, but it's clean, it's good, it's not full of soot. Put this back together. So in order to put it back together, you just flip this upside down, put that in there, and now your stove's back together. Now, this is a very affordable option. This is a very good option in my opinion. But you're going to want to piece this together. This stove, I really like this stove. The pots and pans work well. You saw me clean this up. This is clean. The handles are a little black, but they didn't really melt. If you were on like a week-long adventure, these handles would probably melt off. When it comes to the ladle, don't count on the ladle. I don't trust this thing at all. It broke instantly. I was looking at the bowls that come with it, and now these bowls are thick where this ladle is very thin, and so I don't know why they didn't make the ladle just as thick and robust as their bowls, but they didn't, so I wouldn't bring that with. Like I said, I've never used a ladle out camping. I don't think that's something that you need. Or even if it was a good ladle, I still don't think I'd bring it. The little sponge I would leave at home. The little bowls, if you wanted something to drink out of, I think they make really good cups. They do make good bowls if you do want to portion things out. So I like these. I like the silverware. I'm probably going to be using this silverware, honestly. The little spatula I like. But the main component of this all is this wood burning stove, and I really like this. I'm actually going to put this away. I'll probably use it a few times for camp, but this will be a good thing to just store away, and in case of an emergency I can pull this out and I have a little wood burning stove that never runs out of fuel. As long as you have branches and little sticks, even pine cones, leaves, all that little stuff that lays around your yard or whatever, you can burn, and you can have a stove that can last a really long time. So I really enjoy this system. I'm probably going to pair this stove with my other pots and pans just to see how they perform. But yeah, I like this system. For the money, what you're getting, I think it's very much worth it. If you're just getting started, I wouldn't recommend this. I don't recommend your fire skills being your cook method when you're just getting started. But you can get one of those cheap little canister stoves for like 12 bucks, I think. And so you can buy this kit plus that little $12 canister stove, or even the BRS $15 titanium stove. You can put it inside here so that in case you can't get a fire started because it's actively storming or whatever, you have a backup. So a really good option, and there's a lot of things you can add to this. Like I said, you can upgrade the pots and pans later, you can upgrade your utensils later. It's a very good thing for a very low cost. So with that being said, make sure to get down in that description box. I have all the information down there. Make sure to like and share this video, and make sure to subscribe and come join the pack. I have a new video every Sunday and Thursday, and I can't wait to see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.